Howdy there you guys, and welcome back. My name is Elio, of course, and in today's video of Arc Legends, I wanted to discuss the top 2 issues that we have as a community in terms of Arc Legends, and this video is pretty much just directed towards the developers here of giving you our take on how to solve these 2 issues. So without further ado, let's go ahead and address issue number 1. Alright, so let's go and talk about issue 1 right here, and that's the targeting system. So the whole tile situation that we have here on the front of the screen before we go into a stage, I think is perfectly fine because it helps add strategy to the game, making a character kind of think about their tank placement and their DPS placement in order to get the best results for them. The issue though is after we hit the go button. So in many other games here, we can always select the character on the screen while the battle's going and actively target that character, which is what Arc Legends severely lacks. A simple feature like this means that my Talia, for example, would hit the target of my choice and do the damage that I want her to do on that target. Now, I do understand as well that there's some of our cast that have moves that, operate on if an enemy is at a certain position, it has to hit that position. I'm not saying override that position. For example, like Luana hits like a backlane target. I'm not saying to override that issue. But I'm saying that if a character is able to kind of focus on a character in front of them, that we should be able to just select that character with like a little yellow circle around them and have them target that skill. Like for instance, another fair example would be Alex, for instance. Like if Alex was over here where Bo and is it Regulus is at, I should be able to choose which one I want to hit with cracked armor and not just have him pick whoever is right there in his vicinity. Because if there's 2 different characters in his vicinity, I should have a choice in who that hits, and I don't think that's going to be like a super duper big game changer at all of just allowing us to target whatever unit that we want to target, because there's situations like this where there's multiple of these units, especially in a PvE situation, where I could literally clear out the fight if I could address the DPS first and save the tanks for last. I do want to show like an example shown in Final Fantasy XII of their active battle system where we can readily choose a target while we're still fighting, keeping the game in real time and keeping the strategy there, but it allows us as a player to make more choices during the fights versus just having the game hit go and literally just hit a skill button. So I definitely hope that helps kind of solve the first issue right here of addressing just allowing us to target whatever units that we can. Once again, I'm not saying every unit that we target should be able to get hit by all our attacks. If a character has a certain position or like a certain back lane, front lane, mid lane character position that they can only hit, then they should ignore that target in its entirety and hit that front lane, back lane, or mid lane target in itself. But if there's a front lane target, or if there's 2 front lane targets in themselves, I should be able to kind of differentiate and choose which one I want. For example, Alex, as I showed previously, to hit with cracked armor, not so much what he wants, but what I as a player want. And the second issue that I wanted to talk about was skills. Since all of our characters share the same skill pool, it's kind of unfortunate, which is what another guy over here on the Discord really brought up, because what ends up happening is if I have Luana, for example, why would I use, let's say for instance, Rain's skill, or why would I use Ray's skill if I don't need to when I can spam Luana's? This issue kind of stems from just having this one single way for us to gather up SP for our characters. And of course, with us only having this one SP pool, it means that the SP that we use is very, very precious. So why not use and spam the character that we know will deal the most damage at that given time and just basically make all the other characters null and void? So honestly, you end up only using 2 moves out of all of them because, well, why would I use something inferior? So I think changing this up and separating this whole SP pool and giving each character kind of like their own mana gauge and their own kind of like attack gauge would solve this issue and kind of force us to use each character and kind of understand their strengths and weaknesses better versus us just going in here spamming Alex's cracked armor and just spamming Luana until this thing dies, because it kind of makes things a bit more brain dead while having different SP bars and different rates that the character can do their moves. Kind of makes it more RNG dependent but it also gives us a little bit more control over just how the game operates. And this also brings together another idea of saying, you know, you can always tweak a character after the open beta and make one of their skills kind of synergize with the fact that they have their own SP bar, and a character, for example, could build up their SP bar a little bit faster than other characters. In terms of like debuffs, this could also be a debuff in a PvP situation where a character, if they get targeted, has kind of like a slower, basically, attack time battle gauge, if you want to simplify it. But these are the two biggest suggestions I think would kind of take Arc Legends to the next level and really make it a quality of life thing. Don't pay any attention to me as I die and talk about this. And it just adds a lot more strategy and depth into the game, which honestly is pretty much all that the game needs. I mean, the game looks beautiful. Character balance is a different situation in itself, but we have to address basically the battle mechanics first before you address character balance, because what's the point of balancing characters now when you end up changing the battle system and what was broken before is now garbage, and what was garbage before is now just hilariously broken. But these are the top two suggestions to the Arc Legends developers. If you guys want a more written or a more thorough explanation of how to kind of get these things going, or just more clarification on how or what it is that us as a players want as a community for the game, feel free to contact me. I know that we talk off and on Discord all the time, and I think it's just something really important because, once again, this would take the game from like, you know, neutral face gaming, you guys, to like straight up smiley face gaming. And to anyone checking out the video, but you can just leave in the comments below that you agree on these points. That way, once the developers do see this video, that they can see that the people watching and the people that are engaged in Arc Legends and care about the game really want to see changes like this, because it's just going to have a positive impact on the game in itself for hopefully quite a long time, as Arc Legends kind of nears its official release, which, by the way, it doesn't have a release date yet. But if they can tweak this before the, you know, soft launch, I think it's going to be a very powerful thing. But that's pretty much all that I have for this video. Feel free to subscribe if you want more Arc Legends content in the future. And yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya.